Hello, hello. Making sure my volume is good. Good morning, good morning. Okay, Corals. I hope you have a great Memorial Day weekend as well, ma'am. Okay. So, I don't necessarily care how many people are here for the live, but if I do have anybody show up, go ahead and let me know how sound is doing. I'm just doing some cooking this morning. Well, my goodness, it's almost afternoon now, isn't it? Well, I'm doing lunch right now, just getting some lunch ready, keeping a nice silence. And I'm going to be, as always, multitasking while we're doing this. But I figured before I get set up and get the kiddos hooked up with the lunch, we could just chit chat a little bit, catch up, see how everybody is doing. We got three people watching, so I got three people in the bushes. Hello, hello, my lovelies in the bushes. I hope that you have snacks. I hope that you have sunblock and water, and you're nice and shaded. You picked a nice bush that's like free of poison ivy and stuff. But if you suspect that you came into contact with poison ivy while you're in the bushes, what you can do is go in and wash with some dish soap, okay? Because it's the oils that are on the plant, right? Getting onto the skin is what makes it, you know, difficult to just kind of wash off in the shower. You got to use some dish soap, okay? Got to use something that's going to cut through oils. Let's see here. Patty Bruna, hello, Miss Patty. Hi, it's nice to see you. Haven't seen you in a while, ma'am. Okay, so you say I am here, but probably won't be welcomed by most of your audience, so you'll stay. Okay, so Patty, you're fine to be here. Nobody that I uh like am like super friendly with on YouTube is going to come into my comments and be mean to you, okay? But if you want to stay in the bushes, like I said, make sure that you watch out for poison ivy. And if you get into contact with poison ivy, Miss Patty, get you some of your dish soap and wash with that. Just go ahead and wash off with that, okay? That's a nice little sum. And check for ticks. Check for ticks, okay? Lyme's disease is on the rise, and we're having more instances of Rocky Mountain spotted fever occur throughout the United States, okay? And hi, Just Ian. Hello, Terry. Hello, Viper. So, I mean, Patty, as you can tell, the people who are coming in here, like, they're not mean people. They're not going to be mean to you, okay, ma'am? You're fine. But if you want to hang out in the bushes, you are more than welcome, because this is not a call out stream or anything like that. We are here to learn. If you're more worried about the snakes and the used condoms, okay, I think, okay, so the snakes. So I have heard, and you guys tell me if you've heard this, okay? I have heard, but I have not experienced, right? As far as snakes goes, that like copperheads smell like cucumber. Is this true? Now rattlesnakes, okay, they'll make their appearance known, okay? They don't want you around them, right? They don't want you around them. They will let you know they're there, right? You just got to keep your ears open and, try to spot the snake. Don't move. Try to spot the snake. And then once you find it, then go the opposite direction of the snake, okay? But if you ever hear a rattle, you need to kind of freeze where you're at and scan your surroundings to make sure that in your attempt to get away from the snake, you don't accidentally walk towards the snake. But yeah, everybody here is welcome. I got my beautiful now. Okay, so Viper. Okay, I don't have any suggestions for how if you encounter Viper in the bushes, what you should do. Okay, I mean she's purple, so she probably should stand out to you. Um, I personally don't think that she's going to like bite. You know, I feel like she sees her venom for when it's like truly, truly needed and doesn't waste it on anything petty. But as far as like smells or indicators that Viper is around, I think you pretty much just gotta go with the fact that she's purple. Okay, so if you see a purple Viper while you're in the bushes, you know, I would just, I don't know, maybe some snacks. I don't know, Viper. What do you need? You need some snacks, a hug. I'm not sure. Okay, but I haven't seen anything that in the studies of outdoor wilderness of how to mitigate a situation when you encounter a viper in the bushes. Okay, all right, I'm done. Okay, chocolate. Chocolate is the key for when you encounter the wild purple viper in nature. Okay, you throw some chocolate at it, and that is how you get away from that unscathed. Okay, perfect. It wasn't for sure. Hasn't been a whole lot of studies done yet. All right. We got Miss Anne here. I'm just a city girl. You know what? I love that for you. Okay. You understand what you can and cannot deal with, and you make sure that your surroundings reflect that. So we respect somebody who is self-aware. Who else? Who else? Who else? We got Terry. Terry in the house. Hello, Miss Terry. I hope everybody is set to have a phenomenal Memorial Day weekend. Okay. I hope that it is sunny and beautiful, and you've got your sunblock and you've got your water and your hot dogs and whatever it is. And then you take time, just a little bit of your time is all you need to do while you're having your festivities to think about why we have Memorial Day. But that is not the subject of today's live. Okay. So I'm going to continue getting lunch ready. And then as soon as, hello, Miss Melissa, we're just doing some like how to be safe in nature. Okay. So just to recap for you, Melissa, if you are in fact hiding in the bushes, okay, you're not in the bushes, but we got some people who are in the bushes today, and that is fun. Okay. You encounter poison ivy, you got to wash with some dish soap. Okay. That's the only way you're going to get that stuff off you. Okay. Because it's oil. You got to get something that cuts through oils. Okay. So dish soap it is. Okay. You encounter a rattlesnake, stop, look, try to find it, go the opposite direction. You smell cucumbers, that's going to be a copperhead. They don't make much sound, but if you smell cucumbers, try to find where that smell is coming from. Go the opposite direction. If you encounter a purple viper, you throw some chocolate at it. Okay. But that's all I really got. You got water, snacks, situational awareness. And if you encounter something like sumac, poison ivy, dish soap, some dish soap in the shower, make your right as rain. Okay. That's all I got. Let's see. Okay, if you encounter a wild Melissa in the bushes, you can also deter that with chocolate. But pretty much why I'm just making those jokes is because we have Miss Patty here today, and she said she was going to be in the bushes. I told her she didn't have to be, but if she was going to be safe. Okay, that's all we gotta. We just gotta do that. But Miss Patty, as you can see, I don't have mean-spirited people in my chat. That's not shaded anybody, but ain't nobody here gonna be mean to you. Okay, we keep it cute, we keep it classy, right? And it's like we don't want that energy. We're trying to learn something. Hello, Steph. Oh my goodness, Miss Steph. It's so nice to see you. Okay, so Free Palestine. I don't think we've ever met. But hello, it's so nice to see you. Thank you for coming. And thank you for just popping up with love in the chat. That's so nice. Okay, so I'm going to continue on with getting uh this lunch on the table for the littles. Oh yeah, squishmallows. There are some instances where squishmallows are an active deterrent to some of the deadlier ones that you can meet in the bushes. Now, if you encounter a wild Steph TMXA in the bushes, just go ahead, say a quick prayer, ask for forgiveness for whatever you've done in life, and just let know that's the end for you. There's nothing else that can be done. Okay, pretty much everything else we can do, we can throw something in it. But if you encounter a wild Steph TXMA in the bushes, it's a done deal. It's a wrap. You know, that's it. This deadly. It's just deadly. All right, what are we doing? I need cheese, and I need my ADHD meds to kick in like 5 minutes ago. All right, we got some cheddar. We'll do some cheddar. So on today's menu for lunch, it is not eggs. But we don't really do eggs for lunch, even though I love breakfast any time of the day. We're doing some broccoli and cheddar rice. The one way that I can, whoa, I got a baby. Baby's on the loose. Baby's on the loose. Baby's on the loose. Wild babies on the loose. All right, we're hungry. Let's go ahead and just get in our high chairs. Oh my goodness, these gals are getting so big. All right. These gals, they're ready for lunch. I tell you what, I never realized how fun having twins was going to be. Oh my goodness. But uh, it also really does go in line with how like nice the little girls are. They're just really sweet little babies. I was trying to put cheese on your guys' rice to get you some calcium, and you're just like coming in to help cook. They love being in the kitchen with me. Typically, I don't put them in there when I'm cooking, but if I'm like doing the nighttime routine and stuff, I'll bring them in, and we'll get some time in there. They like to get the pots and pans and stuff, and then I'll give them like my wooden spoons and just let them just play the little hots out. It's a lot of fun. Okay, so let's get a little snack going. Let's see what we got on here. Oh man, that takes me back. Fried bologna. Sometimes I get in a mood where I'm like, oh yes, that sounds delicious. What do you put on your fried bologna? I like mustard. I don't know. I feel like that makes me just a little weird, but I really I like just regular yellow mustard on my fried bologna. And I like to put my fried bologna on toast. That's like super delicious. Okay. All right. Okay, let's do a little snack, gals, while your food cools down. Because you preemptively came in. Oh, we got the hiccup. All right. Let's get some iron and fiber in that diet with these little snacky tools right here. Okay, give me that. Give me that. Go right ahead here. All right, we're gonna get into this right now. Oh, I love Betty Boop. Sounds like a craving. I don't know. There was like one day my husband came home with a pack of bologna, Lori, and he was just like, I don't know. I was just in the mood for some fried bologna. And I was like, all right, I'll fry it up. Let's get it going. All right, so to get to the point, all right, One of the things, and I didn't realize this wasn't common knowledge, right? It is common knowledge to some, uncommon knowledge to many, and that is the dangers of positional asphyxiation, right? So we got to talk about a few things because there's things that you have to consider if you're going to restrain somebody, right? One of the things is, why are you restraining that person? Is it because they could cause great bodily harm to yourself or themselves or others, right? So we have to consider that. Another thing we have to consider is, I mean, basically, is like the basis of why are we doing this, right? And we are speaking about positional asphyxiation in the context of the medical field, okay? So not from the context of like law enforcement or anything, but the medical field, because this is something that we learn a lot about in the medical field and why you cannot restrain a patient and just leave them. Okay. They have to be continuously monitored. Their vitals have to be continuously monitored, all of those things, because you want to keep your patient safe, right? You do no harm. So you want to keep your patient safe. Okay. And also, it has to really, the situation really truly has to call for it. Okay. We really have to consider why we're doing this to begin with. Betty, I'm sorry that you didn't get a notification. I honestly don't really know exactly how the notification stuff works. But I am not like vexed if people don't show up for my live because, I'm going to leave it there. The only live I've ever had to delete was the one from the other day. And that was because whenever I lost service, it like glitched it out. But that was the first time I've ever used YouTube Live. And I didn't really like it. I really like StreamYard. I feel like StreamYard has more to offer visually because I don't really like to put visuals and whatnot as far as like filming myself online. Um, so I like to at least give you guys something to look at, colors or whatever. And I wish that I didn't have to continuously like multitask whenever I'm live because then I would do those, where I can share my screen and stuff. Like I could do that. That would be really, really appropriate for today. I just unfortunately that's not the life that I live. I don't really have the ability to stay stationary for long. So anyway, in the description and also when I shared my live, you'll see that I've linked a presentation below so you know where I'm getting my information from. Oh, yes, we're so excited. Hello, honey. I put you some food. Oh, you got the meal? I put you some food on the table. Be advised, it is what? Thank you, thank you, thank you. All right. We're going to get into this. Let me see. All right, so let's talk about it. All right, so what does it mean to restrain somebody? Okay, so anytime you restrict a person's freedom of movement by holding a person or using a mechanical device, you're restraining that individual. Restraints can last for seconds, minutes, or hours. Okay, minutes or seconds, probably not so bad, right? Seconds might be an example of like doing phlebotomy on a child, like a lab draw on a child, right? You might have the parent sit down and hold the child, hug them nice and tight so that child doesn't move or jerk, possibly causing injury to themselves, right? Because we don't want to do any harm, all right? Under what circumstances? Oh, well, so minutes, you know, that can be like something that happens while transporting a patient, right? You might have to physically restrain them for a few minutes, whether it would be to like administer a medication to help them, um, or uh, possibly like during a seizure, you're not going to want to like lay on top of a person with a seizure, but you're going to want to in an environment like that where somebody is like being transported. You want to make sure that they don't flail around and really cause further injury to themselves, okay? Or heaven forbid, you just want to make sure in a situation like that, somebody starts actively seizing, right? That you've got a firm grasp on them to the point where you might be kind of restraining them a little bit, but that is something that should only be lasting a few minutes, seconds to minutes, right? And that is to reduce further harm of your patient. Hours. Now, this right here, I have never encountered, okay, because I have never been in a situation where I'm dealing with a patient or person and they might have to be restrained for hours because it's just, we really just want to avoid that at all costs. Okay, so I can't speak on that. I can't speak on that one. The other two, I have a lot of experience with. Yummy, yummy. Oh, heck on it. Oh, I got it. I got it. Hey, we got to let this cool down just a little bit, sis. Okay, under what circumstances should individuals be restrained? All right, so sometimes a person is being restrained in order to receive medical or nursing care. For example, a confused patient may need restraints to prevent them from removing an IV that is providing needed medication. Okay, so that might be an example of where it becomes ours, right? We have an altered mental status, you know? Sometimes altered mental statuses can resolve rather quickly. Like, let's say you got like you rung your bell, got a bump on your head, and your mental status is altered, right? Due to the severity or due to how, in severe the situation could be, your mental status could return within, seconds to a few minutes. And I think everybody has probably experienced an altered mental status, whether they're aware of not, because it's like, that standard like on Looney Tunes when somebody like hits the head and I see the little Tweety birds rotating around the head. That's a physical example, in cartoon form of an altered mental status, right? And then it typically resolves pretty soon, but there's very many instances where a mental status being altered, such as like substance induced, right? Where that can last for a while. Okay, we'll see what else we got. We got. So, restraint only when all of the following guidelines are met. The person is in immediate danger to self or others. Other ways to manage the person's dangerous behavior have failed. So you have to try other things before that has happened. Okay. And again, we're speaking in the medical context of things, not necessarily law enforcement. However, there were medical personnel in the situation that we're talking about here, the situation that somebody thought was so funny that they just had to laugh through the darkness because the only way that they could cope, poor them, could cope with this situation was to laugh through the darkness using what, quote unquote, gallows humor. How interesting that you have to find a way to laugh through the darkness. I wonder if this person's family is laughing through the darkness. I don't know. Food for thought. Food for thought. So other ways to manage the person's dangerous behavior have failed. Okay, so you've tried everything else. And that the staff members or the personnel are trained in the proper use of restraints, right? Kneeling on someone's neck, not a proper restraint. But I guarantee there probably was some training done on restraints. I don't know. There also may be some additional guidelines and references that you can look at. Should restraints be used as a means of punishment? Never, ever. Never, ever. Physical restraint should never be used for any of the following purposes as a punishment, for the convenience of staff, or as a way to inflict pain. Oh, what do we got going on here? Hello, Jojo. I don't believe we've ever met. So nice of you to come in. Wait. What did I miss here? What did I miss here? I missed something. Oh, oh, Lori is a sub, of course. Okay. All right. I'm so sorry. I got distracted, squirrel. I'm okay, now that makes sense. All right. Well, happy birthday to your hubby. And I hope your dinner goes off perfectly, Viper. I just wanted to check the comments and I was like, wait. I missed something here. If I missed saying hi to anybody, I am so sorry. But it is so nice of you guys to come spend some time with me today. All right, so physical restraints are only as a temporary emergency measure, okay? And there's specific laws that govern facilities' use of restraints, okay? Make sure that you understand what those are. But I don't think anybody here is going to be physical restraining anybody. But just know that there's like a widespread policy, right, across the United States healthcare system, but then each facility might have their own policy that is stricter, right? Stricter than what the widespread policy. And that is literally for the health of the patient, the safety of the patient, the safety of the staff. All right, here we go. Veggies in my belly. Mm. Yummy, yummy. All right, yeah. So, all right, physical restraints are dangerous. All physical restraints involve some possibility of injury to the person being restrained and to the staff, okay? Because you got to get that person in those restraints. So, oh yeah, happy 46. 46 years. My goodness, I love that. Okay, now the physical restraint should only be used when the person's behavior is more dangerous than the danger of using restraints, right? And I believe, in the situation of what happened to Mr. George Floyd, they did have to restrain him, but they did not have to ignore the fact that he was in danger and he was trying to tell others that he was in danger. Okay. Now, I think that there is some confusion between asphyxiation and choking. Okay. Choking can cause asphyxiation, but the signs and symptoms of asphyxiation are not as apparent as choking, right? If you have a full blockage of the airway and choking, you are not going to be able to speak. Okay. That is choking. That's not necessarily asphyxiation, though choking can lead to suffocation and asphyxiation. Now, imagine if you took a person's airway, right, in a choking situation and you reduced it to 10%. You took 100% airway and you covered 90% of that. Okay. That person most likely is still going to be able to talk and still be able to breathe. But if they cannot get enough air into their lungs to create the pressure to push up whatever is blocking the airway, they are going at some point, they're going to asphyxiate. Okay. Just something to keep in mind for those who believe that just because you can get enough air into your lungs to pass it through the larynx to make a sound that turns into words, and those words form I cannot breathe, I can't breathe, doesn't mean that you have the appropriate amount of oxygen to sustain your life for a long period of time. We need to actually think about things before we say and laugh our way through them. I'm just saying. But anyway, back to my little presentation here. That was a very good point. A very morbid point, but a very good point, right? Because insufficient oxygen, even though you're getting oxygen, isn't enough. And let's just take something into account, right? Let's think about somebody who's in a panic state, right? Who isn't able to completely deplete or remove the CO2 that they are converting oxygen to. They're not able to get that out of their lungs, right? That's also another way that somebody can asphyxiate, right? You're able to get the O2 in, convert it to CO2, but you're not able to get all of that CO2 out. And that can also cause asphyxiation, can also cause suffocation, right? No, Cringe, you do not have to be sorry. Also, oh goodness, Miss B, hello, 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 hello. It's so nice to see you. And yeah, you can hang out in the bushes too if you want, B. If you need a little safety brief for bushes, go ahead and restart the live, and you'll hear my whole run through on things to look out for when you're in the bushes. Listening while art journaling and doing Spanish lessons. Okay, art journaling. I don't know, Lori, if you have a channel, but I will be totally down to watch you art journal if that's something that you film. But art is such a bearing of one's soul. I understand how incredibly brave it is to have like an art channel, something like that. That's really cool. Are we talking about a specific case or asphyxiation in general? Both are fine with me. We are talking about both, Lori. We are talking about, more specifically, a live that had been done recently where Miss Coley, as seen by a subscriber, proclaimed about laughing through the darkness using gallows humor while speaking about the tragic passing and the events that caused it of Mr. George Floyd. I just want to let that sink in, right? There's shorts going around on several different channels of um, what Coley said, how she said it, and I don't want to misquote, but I will give you a little summary. There was some chat. Oh, okay. And so people, I hope people understand that it's cringe being facetious and sarcastic, right? Because, you know, in order for it to be easier for Coley to deal with this man's passing, right? And how it happened, you just have to laugh through it, right? You just have to laugh through it to make it easier. And that is sarcasm, okay? Because it wasn't really a cross that any of us had to bear. I didn't have to bear it, but I bear witness to what happened. And I can tell you, I agree that Chauvin is in prison. He should be in prison. And I believe that he had the knowledge already in his mind that what he was doing was very harmful. And he had the knowledge that it would and could lead to someone's death, right? Especially if we already have somebody who's compromised, on the cardiac system, right? Their their heart is already compromised, right? Now, granted, Mr. Chauvin isn't gonna know that, right? But you always want to err, right? If you don't know, then err, right? But maybe common sense is not common. Maybe that's the problem. Anyway, I'm going to get back to my presentation. But I'm pretty proud of myself. I'm going to give myself props that I haven't immediately cursed anybody out. Yes, Cringe is playing off her words. So, see here. OMG, I've watched the whole George Floyd video, but I don't know what happened elsewhere. Yeah. It was a really, really big ordeal in the United States of America, and it was really, really disturbing to see what happened. So we are literally covering today the dangers of positional asphyxiation because some people seem to be under the misconception that just because you can talk means you can breathe. And while that may be true, right, because breathing, right, has a vast definition, but are you gaining appropriate oxygen to sustain your life? And are you being able to output your CO2 to sustain your life? And in the event of what happened to Mr. George Floyd, the answer was no on both accounts, but it does not take much air to pass through the larynx to be able to create a sound. Okay, it doesn't. So just because you can talk doesn't mean you can effectively breathe to keep your life. And yes, Coley, you should be ashamed of yourself, but I don't think any of us are surprised. There wasn't anybody who was shocked that you would say and laugh through it. No, because we know that this is a standard behavior for you. Patterns, right? It's a pattern. Anyway, I am digressing. Let me see here if there's anything more. Okay. Oh, here we go. So, one of the things that's really important to cover is positions that are most likely to cause restraint-related positional asphyxiation. Higher risk positions include face down, face down. Okay, you position somebody face down, right? Even without weight on the back and pressure on the neck, they are already at a higher risk of asphyxiation or suffocation, whatever you prefer, right? Any position where the person is bent over in such a way that it's difficult to breathe. This includes a seated or kneeling position in which a person being restrained is bent over at the waist, right? So that means now the diaphragm cannot move as freely as it needs to, right? Because you're being bent over. There's only so much room the diaphragm can move at that point. And let's hope that the person isn't, excited, where they're breathing and their heart rate is up. Woo! Yeah. Oh my goodness, was so excited. I'm so glad you guys are liking the food. Like the food. Honey, I know you don't want to, but you got to eat that broccoli. All right, Miss Ma'am, go ahead and just put it down right there and leave it. Make sure you wash your hands after touching that. Thank you. Thank you. All right, so bent over at the waist, face down. And the reason is because one, the diaphragm can't move freely like it needs to at the waist. And if somebody is excitable, that's going to create an issue. If they're face down, right? They're maybe they can't, maybe they don't have the strength, maybe they don't have the mental awareness that they need to keep their face off to the side. Maybe they have a sustained an injury where they can't really keep the face off to the side. And even then, that is going to keep the airway compromised because the airway is not straight. It's not a patent airway like it should be, right? Because the head's turned off to the side. All right, now, one of the important things that's mentioned here, we're on page 4 for any of those who are following along here. Staff members, right, must be especially careful not to use their own bodies in a way that restricts someone's ability to breathe, such as sitting or lying across a person's back or stomach. When a person is lying face down, even pressure to the arms and legs can interfere with a person's ability to move the chest or abdomen in order to breathe effectively. There's actually some pictures here on page 5 of high-risk positions for restraint-related positional asphyxia. And unfortunately, as disturbing as it is, there is a pretty similar picture of how Mr. Floyd was restrained. Right now, I understand in the situations with law enforcement that there are going to be some times where they have to use some restraints. Right? We all know that that's just common sense. We all know that. Sit it down, please. I'm going to ask you to not bring any more of those things into the house right now because the children, all of you, right, collectively are getting distracted, okay? We need to eat. We need to not be looking around at the door. So for right now, just don't. But we're going to get to that, I promise, okay, honey? No. Okay, well, that is good. That's pretty good timing. But we'll get that taken care of so our birdies are eating well, okay? You put you put the little squat thing in the top of the shoe shelf. I don't know if you took it back out though. You might have. It's so nice out today. It's like it's kind of cloudy and oh. Hey, do we want to do some fruit? Yeah? You want to do some fruit? Okay, go do some fruit. All right, guys, we're going on a trip with our favorite rocket ship. Hey, no more coming in and out. You either out or you're in. Thank you. Okay, right. So we'll also look at one of the things is like who's more at risk for asphyxia, right? And I'm gonna say, I don't believe that this is information that those in law enforcement, because the first responders too, right? That those in law enforcement, I don't believe this is some like gate kept information to them, right? This isn't. I just don't believe that. And I do know several police officers, so I can always check with them on if this is information that's gatekeep from them, right? Then they're allowed to know this, right? But I will say, I feel like as we're um, going through this presentation, that many of you will not be shocked and find that, wow, a lot of this stuff really seems common sense, right? A lot of this stuff really seems to be common sense, doesn't it? Right? Like able to be understood at the most basic level. Oh my gosh. My kiddos saw me open a can of mandarin, so they're so excited. Let's have some fruit. Ah, get some vitamin C in there. And then maybe we can go for a walk later if it's not raining. No, eat your fruit. You don't need the spoon right now, okay, honey? Okay. So people who are most at risk, obese people, extreme physical exertion, struggling prior to or during restraint, breathing problems such as asthma or emphysema, heart disease, use of alcohol or other drugs. Again, it's common sense. You talk about being informed, Miss Coley. You talk about how smart you are, right? You're so smart. You're so smart. Maybe you are an intelligent person, but you know what you are? You're lazy. You're lazy, and you don't care to know anything that doesn't go hand in hand with a narrative that you want to believe in. Okay. You don't want your worldview questioned. You want to believe what you believe, and you want people to validate that. And I'm telling you what, you're not going to find that in these YouTube streets. You're not going to find that. Okay. So maybe taking some time to actually educate yourself like you encourage others to do would be helpful, would be insightful. I don't know. I don't know. You don't really strike me as somebody who really aligns with the idea of being insightful or taking personal inventory. But there is always hope for change. And not everybody is a lost cause. And hopefully, one day, we will no longer be able to say that you, Coley, are a lost cause. Hopefully. Well, I'm not a betting woman, so I won't be placing any wagers on that. I'm just saying. Let's see here. That's a wonderful example, Lori. We're going to touch on that right now. Okay. When somebody panics, it's even harder to breathe. And that is because you're not able to exchange that CO2 out of your body. There's a lot to do with it. Or when somebody hyperventilates, like there's a certain homeostasis that has to be maintained. There's a certain balance of oxygen that we breathe, our air, which is like nitrogen, oxygen, things like that, and a certain balance of CO2 in the body. It's time to get washed up, isn't it? Okay, so that's why, whenever somebody hyperventilates, they're giving, typically, you see like movies, things like that, and where someone's given with a paper bag to breathe in, and that's so they can get that CO2 and O2 levels back in harmony where they're jiving and working together. That's why that works so well for people. Oh, yeah, oh, yeah, oh, yeah. Oh my goodness, what a look. Did you guys have a good lunch? Yeah? Yeah. Hey, can we do the roar? Roar. Oh my goodness, so scary. That was terrifying. It was the scariest roar I've ever heard in my life. Roar. We roar, roar. Roar, roar, roar. Yeah. Oh, goodness. Roar. Okay, now we got to do our face. This is the part that you hate the most. Let's wash our face. Let's wash our face. Let's wash our face. Let's wash our face. Let's wash our little nose. Let's wash our little nose. Let's wash our chin. Let's wash our chinny chin. All right. All right. We're done. All done. All done. What are we doing over there, honey? Looks like we got some drool going there. Are you pretending to be a little puppy? I'm just getting the kids cleaned up after they ate. Bear with me, right? But panic, right? That is a huge thing. So you think like, what happens when we panic, right? Our breathing is off because our heart rate is really out of whack, right? And then our breathing stays off long enough while the heart, like the cardiac output, is being taxed. That can lead to some catastrophic events in the human body. That can lead to things like cardiac arrest, you know, like, instances of like AFib or, you know, ventricular tachycardia. It's really, and that's not necessarily common knowledge to everyone, but I do believe that humans, just like I thoroughly believe that all humans have an innate understanding of physics that we develop from a very early age, right? Perfect example. You're a little kid and you want to jump over something, right? And you want to successfully jump over that. So you knowing the amount of power you have to exert and when to push off from the ground in order to gain the level and distance that you need. That's an innate understanding of physics. And it's present on like the very basic of minds, especially like you want to throw a ball somewhere. Oh my goodness gracious. I don't even know if anybody can hear me, honey. Just oh, goodness. You, I'm getting so big. I'm gonna have to start lifting weights again to be able to handle you. Oh, yeah. You knew that was a compliment, right? Good deal. Ooh. And then I'm gonna have a nice little seat while we continue our conversation. And thank you so much, everybody, for being patient with me while I multitask. Woo-hoo. Hold on. They want something to drink. What are we doing now? Oh, whoa, whoa, whoa. Hey, you, yeah? All right. Let's chillax a little bit. Oh, my back is hurting so bad. All right. You always want to check on somebody whenever they're physically restrained as well. Oh. We got Miss Rachel on right now. Well, waving. That's so cute. I like Miss Rachel. I like Miss Rachel and I like Miss Monty too. Let's see what we got going on here. Looks like I accidentally hit something. Can everybody hear me okay? Well, that was a very kind thing to say. And thank you, by the way. I love my kids. Let's see. Oh, hi, Stina. Viva, no, it's not. And exactly, to emphasize your point, if anybody's actually looking at this presentation on page 5, is a picture that's very similar, right? Because there's 6 pictures here of examples of high-risk positions for restraint-related positional asphyxia. And there is a picture that is very similar to how Mr. Floyd was restrained. And let me see here. I made sure to, okay, so this presentation was actually created in 2006. And that's relevant, right? Because what happened to Mr. Floyd didn't happen until 2020. I believe it was 2020 when that happened to him. And so what that can tell us, if I need to spell it out, not for anybody in this chat, I don't believe I have to spell that out. But what that tells us is that this presentation wasn't developed and only added this example because of what happened to Mr. Floyd. And that should tell you a lot. And if the math doesn't math for you, I'm sorry. Uh, that's a you problem. What we got going on here? So I don't believe that Coley doesn't know these things already. I'm starting to think that she just likes getting reactions out of people. Possibly. That is quite a possibility. Um, I personally think it's a little bit more nefarious than that, Melissa. I think, just my opinion, that she knows these things, but because she's a racist, she disregards them. I don't necessarily think it's like she likes the reactions. I think she wants to believe what she wants to believe, and she'll disregard anything that questions that. I think it's no more nefarious than that. I think that she's probably a really bad person, actually. Rage baiting is, I mean, that goes hand in hand with being a bad person. So it's like, both sides of the coin are absolute crap, So, if it's rage baiting because she wants a reaction out of people, that is just as bad as knowing something and disregarding it because it questions what you must believe because you're a racist. Holy, you are a racist. Anyway, back to the presentation here. How long is this? We have 8 slides total. Okay, and we just covered the people who are at more risk for restraint-related positional asphyxiation. Just to reiterate, we have contributing factors of obesity, right? Um, Extreme physical exertion or struggle prior to or during restraint. Um, in the instance or in the context of what happened with Mr. George Floyd, um, he was not being very easily restrained during the situation. And I think that it's important to understand that um, we have never ever walked through the world, right? Like, I mean, I can't say we because I don't know everybody's specific, but speaking strictly for myself, right? Let me back up and say, for myself, I've never walked through the world. I've never moved through the world as an African American. I don't have that experience. But what I do know, right, is that depending on who we are and what we look like, our world experience is different, right? And a perfect example of that is there's a pretty good chance, right? Let me just throw this out there, right? If you are a woman and you're on an elevator, right, and it's just you, and you're going up to your destination, right, and you stop at a floor, and another woman and child get on the elevator with you, and you continue on to your destination, and you both exit, go on with your lives, right? It's a much different feeling than if you are going home in the evening and you're on the elevator and you're going on your way up and the elevator stops and a man gets on the elevator with you, um, and it's just you two. Those doors close and you're going on your way up. It's a different feeling, right? And you probably wouldn't necessarily have ever felt that feeling if you were a man in that situation where either a woman is getting onto the elevator with you or another man is getting onto the elevator with you. You wouldn't necessarily know how that feels because there's a certain There's a certain feeling, and maybe I can't necessarily put words to it. It's an uneasiness, and I have been in that situation before. Um, and I was never harmed, thank goodness, but I didn't feel as safe as I did when it was just maybe another woman getting on board the elevator, when there were a multitude of people on the elevator, when it's like a woman and her children getting on the elevator. It's different. Okay. Now, that situation is not the same. I'm only speaking not the same as what African Americans deal with in our country. I'm only saying that to try to give perspective that, like, who you are and what demographic you belong to greatly shapes the way that you interact with the world and how the world interacts with you. Um, and that I couldn't possibly imagine, like I've never watched my husband leave the house to go for a run and never had to worry if he was gonna come back. I haven't. But we do know that even something as simple as exercising as a black man and going for a jog can lead to the loss of life. I can tell you there's a whole lot of people who are getting really sick of that, right? And this shit is going to change. But anyway, I'm digressing again. When you look at these comments, she's major focus talking about trans people and people of color, knowing that others have constantly have issues with her takes. When she isn't doing this, she gets no attention. You know what else she does, Steph? And we're going to see this because this is also a pattern, right? It's a distinguishable pattern. Not too long, Steph, after you called Corey out, it was like, I think it was earlier this year. I think it's the KKK Corey one, right? If you noticed her community posts and her shorts, all she was doing was virtue signaling, sharing Black people's content, sharing African Americans' content, right? As it means to signal, hey, I'm not racist. Look, I have a Black friend. Look, I share Black people's content. I share other African Americans' content. I'm not racist. If I was racist, would I do that? That's what you're doing, Coley. And you think that we don't see that. There's a distinguishable pattern. We can see it. We can look at your shorts, right? We can look at your shorts. And you know what's interesting is a long time ago, Miss Coley Cole mentioned that her first boyfriend, I believe, was a Black man and that he became a doctor, right? But then again, like when she was just referencing this man and a few lives ago, it's very interesting that she left out the descriptor that he is a man of color. I don't know. I thought that was interesting. Maybe it's nothing. Maybe it's nothing, right? But I thought that was interesting. We knew it was the same man because it was the first boyfriend and was a doctor, South Carolina, right? But this time she didn't mention he's a Black man. Sounds suspicious. Anyway, is it a good idea to check on the physical status? So I'm getting back to the presentation. Is it a good idea to check on the physical status of a person while the person is being restrained? Yes, this is a good safety precaution, but it's also important to note that restrained individuals have gone from a state of no distress to death in a matter of moments. It takes moments. So the fact that somebody lived, I think what somebody, feel free to correct me, but I think it was what, 26 to 28 minutes of physical restraint. I can't remember the exact length of time, but I know that mm, it's so sad. We'll take this time to mention that I looked, and this I know that things are tight these days, with inflation and then the cost of everything going up. But there are several foundations, right, who are taking donations, charities, and also, converting those into scholarships, uh, you know, for the like BIPOC community, in the name of George Floyd. And if you decided that you wanted to donate, I know that those are options out there. Um, I wish that I had the money to do those kinds of things. I hope one day I can like be a philanthropist and actually make a difference in other people's lives. Um, but yeah, that's a huge, huge dream in today's day and age. But you never know. There are stranger things that can happen. Anyway, you always want to monitor a person's status, right? Um, but it's not a substitute for avoiding high risk positions that interfere with breathing, right? So the point is if it's a high risk position, right? Even if you're monitoring them fully, it doesn't. It does not remove the risk. Even monitoring does not take that from high risk to like intermediate risk, like to medium risk. Like it's still high risk regardless of whether you're monitoring them or not. Next point is the best way to avoid restraint related positional asphyxia. Now, in the context of law enforcement, I don't think that there really is a way to necessarily avoid it in some circumstances. Now, granted, you can do your best to like stop the escalation if you can, but sometimes when there's substances involved, there's really not a whole lot you can do. So you want to like focus on the safety, of the individual you're dealing with, focus on your safety, right? Get the situation under control and move on ASAP, right? Move on ASAP. Mitigate, like you take control of the situation. If you have to use a position like a high risk restraint, sorry, excuse me, I had the hiccups. Mm, my apologies. So if you got to use high risk restraint, right? Restrain them and move on. You don't restrain them and then continue to restrain them. I don't feel like this is a hard concept to understand. Um, it's just whether or not you want to accept that, you know, that this is a thing, right? And the reason why, restraint asphyxiation is an issue, right? Is because there are so many factors that you have to take in. Like there's so many different facets of the situation that can take that from a level where everything is seemingly fine to where the end result, is detrimental, right? And this is a case of where we saw that happen. you know, just because you're monitoring somebody or you hear them talking does not mean that they are getting the amount of oxygen into their body and exerting the amount of CO2 out of their body to where they can sustain life. And I do not believe in my heart of heart, I do not believe that this is a hard, difficult concept to understand. I don't. Anybody have any particular thoughts, or does anybody want to come up and talk, share their point of view? Or if you feel like there's, oh, you know what? Euphoria covered a bunch of this stuff, but also this is something else that needs to be taken into account. So I'm going to drop the link right now if anybody wants to come up. I don't, yeah, she wants to be controversial and edgy, right? But unfortunately, all she does is out herself for the nasty person she is. All right there. That's a valid point. And that is something that I also forgot because the video footage of the worst point is what seems to be engraved on my cranium in regards to this man. Furthermore, if you are somebody, and I don't believe that this applies to anybody in my chat, but if you are somebody who is going to try to come up into my comments at a later point, right, and insinuate that your perceived notion of this man's past sins made him deserving of this fate, save your breath, save your fingers. Okay? I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear it. That's not what we're talking about. That is not the conversation that we're having. If you want to have that conversation, get on your own platform and have that conversation. That's not a conversation that I'm having here because I don't care. Hello, Ralph. Ralph's my cat, by the way. He's staring at a squirrel at our front door. On a different note, um, squirrels are pretty cute, but they're very vicious. Okay, maybe watch out for those if you're in the bushes as well. We'll see what we got here in the comments. No, she's not capable of being decent, but she'll tell you till she's blue in the face about what an amazing, kind person she is, and then she'll name all of the things that she's done for society, right? That I don't believe that she's ever done, actually. I don't believe that she's ever done any of the things that she's ever claimed to do, like catering to the with the homeless shelters or whatever. I think she said something like that, and that's why she's a good person. Well, okay, I don't believe that at all. And furthermore, I don't believe that one act of kindness, one good deed, defines your character. And I don't think that I'm necessarily alone in that. Oh, indeed. Indeed, Miss Wu. The way that she talks to minors, knowing that they are minors, right? I don't think that I need to necessarily bring up one of the most startling examples because we all know. Like, I don't want to get myself in trouble here, but showing off what you perceive to be a very weird talent, right, to minors that is typically reserved behind closed doors between, you know, consenting adults, right? But showing off what your perceived weird talent is to minors is just disgusting. You are disgusting. Absolutely disgusting. Am I still live? Yeah, I think I'm still live. Hello, Miss Chicago. Oh, her grandma has all the calendars from her donating. Cool. Good for grandma. I hope that grandma put a gold star on each one of those dates. Okay. Sorry. I when Chicago commented here, it came through like a notification, uh like this same comment like came through as like a notification, and that's not typically something that happens. But I also said see that Viper said her chat was freezing up on a. Yes, I'm not really sure what someone's trying to prove. I still have all the calendars. I still have all the calendars. You know what the most people don't have, right? Is an itemized list of good deeds that they've done. What are you gonna do with that list? You gonna take it to try to get through the pearly gates? You gonna take that to your creator as like an argument for why you should be allowed in? Like, what are you doing with this list, this calendar? Like, look, on this date at this time, I did this. Let me in, please. Please save it. Nobody cares. Nobody cares. Well, that's really all I have for this. I think that one, it was already common sense what I was about to say when people think about it, like, oh yeah, yeah, that does make sense. But two, Coley's not going to change. She's always going to be trash, absolute trash. Unfortunately, she's not the only one who shares that sentiment, but hey, maybe at some point she'll prove me wrong and she'll turn around and become an actual decent human that looks at a situation and is like, oh, you know what? I was totally messed up for this. I was totally messed up for this. And X, Y, and Z is why I was totally messed up for this. And X, Y, and Z is how I'm going to make sure that that never, ever happens again. I mean, the proof is out there, like between Coley's lives and the videos that Steph does. Like the case has been made time and time again. Like really, I'm like preaching to the choir at this point, but um, I can speak to like what I have knowledge of, what my area of expertise is. Um, and so I do that. And in the context of this situation, I do happen to have some knowledge about why that happening and why him being able to speak isn't enough to say any of the things that Coley was saying, let alone laugh about it. Because, it's just so hard for you, Coley. It's just so difficult for you that you have to find a way to laugh through it. Right, right. Okay. Alrighty. No, thank you. No, no, thank you. She's a victim of her own self. Her own self. She has never, ever, ever gotten even a fraction, not even a fraction of a fraction of what others have got from that particular group of people. So she can also shut the hell up about that. They don't want to be your friend anymore. Big fucking deal. Move on. No, I would never, ever. And Viper, you being a mod, if I ever had a minor show up in my chat, I want them immediately booted. Immediately. Like, full stop. Full stop. And I see that coming from a place as a parent, because if one of my kids somehow ended up on somebody's live chat that they shouldn't be, I'd want them booted as well. And I commend anybody who, moderates a chat like that. Like, no, this is not a place for you, sweetheart. Continue to grow, continue to gain knowledge, but do that somewhere else because you ain't going to do it here. Nothing but blessings to you and yours. but we're not going to be having you here, okay? And it ain't because nobody likes kids and nothing. It's just because we do love kids and we want to keep kids safe. And there's conversations that we don't have in front of children, and there's conversations that we don't have with children, okay? And that's just facts. You know what conversations we don't have with children? Deep throating popsicles. We don't have that conversation with children. Not over here. Coley likes to have that conversation with children. Anyway, I'm being a little mean right now. I feel it. I feel like I have the ability to get pretty nasty if I keep on with this live. So I'm going to wish you all, oh, absolutely. I'm going to wish you all a wonderful weekend, a wonderful day. And please, everybody be safe. You know, if you're consuming alcohol, please do so responsibly, right? Um, Please be cognizant that other people will not consume alcohol responsibly, and be safe while you're traveling if you're traveling, okay? But all in all, I hope everybody has an absolutely wonderful holiday weekend, and that you eat and be merry and you take time to think about what it is that we have this holiday for. All right. And I want to thank you for spending your time with me today. Okay. We are all given a set amount of time. Okay. A set amount of time. Right. So any moment, any second, any minute, hour, whatever you choose to spend with me here, this time you could never get back, unfortunately. Right. But hopefully you feel like it was time well spent and you learned something, or you felt a sense of camaraderie knowing that other people are also aware of the same things that you are. Okay. All right. Have a great weekend, guys. Safe weekend. Thank you for your time. God bless.